everyone, and welcome to the ItJustWorks podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and today we're moving forward with the MCU as we move on to probably the best film in the entire series, at least in my opinion, Captain America, Winter Soldier. And to help me talk about that today are two very special people. We have Eric, the periodic gamer, back again, and for his first time in, I think, like a fucking year, we have Mike, who came back. He hasn't been on since, I think, the Avengers episode, which is like episode 50. But so Eric, how you doing, man?
You know what, Ryan? I'm doing really good. Okay. It's Sunday. I got my wife beater on. I'm ready for you guys. I'm coming down on Mike. I'm going to shut him down. Let's do this.
And Mike, how have you been, man? It's been such a long time.
It's been good, dude. It's good to be back on, seeing you guys' faces. I know we're zooming it up right now, and I missed you guys. And Eric, despite looking like, a piece of shit, look, dude. But he got some definition in his trap, so you can see it popping out a little bit. So I think he's been
That's
working
true.
out.
Yeah, it's great to have you back, man. And yeah, even though it is Zoom, it's still good to see your beautiful face. And yes, Eric does look like he's ready to beat his wife. So,
That's just not me,
Eric,
though.
what's that?
I said that's just not what I do.
It's just not who he is. It's not who he is. That's a character assassination there. Um, how are you gonna roll us into this topic, Eric? I was wondering how you're gonna fit that in.
What are you talking about, dude? Winter
Oh.
Soldier? How's your day going, Ryan?
Oh,
No. Hold on. This is important, okay? Because
No, you guys are messing it all up. You guys are messing it up. Just keep going. It will
messing.
Okay. Hold on, Mike. We'll let him.
It
we'll
will come in.
We'll
I'm telling you. Just leave it alone.
Okay. I'm doing great. I recorded a podcast earlier this week with Ray at underscore Raymond, and it was his first time on the show. We talked about his career in graphic design and talked about some Pokemon after all that and his favorite video games and movies. It was a fucking great episode, and it's the first video full, like, meant for YouTube video, also podcast. And be sure to check that out because this is the second one we're recording today for it. And yeah, I work's been great. Worked another 6 days this week, chilling, doing my thing. So ready to talk about some Captain America, man.
Nice, Ryan. How many cases did you sell today? Or this week? I'm sorry.
I don't know, like 100 plus something.
There you go. Is your manager happy with it?
He's happy as shit because our whole team hit all of our goals over 100%. So
that's great.
Looking good. Yeah.
Why are you condescending, dude? Why are you condescending?
Mike obviously doesn't listen. Mike obviously doesn't listen to the podcast. Otherwise, he would get.
He sure doesn't. He just added himself.
All right. Well, still, I'm not letting it pass. Okay, not letting it pass.
Peace. Well, that's good, Ryan. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. I like that parkway back there. I see that. I just noticed that. Good deal.
Yeah, I have to go get some thumbtacks to hang them up correctly. I got the 100th and stick to your guns when I still got to hang up. And then we have the elevator scene from Captain America on the TV. Probably one of the best scenes of the movie. But yeah, so we're here to talk about Marvel. And Marvel in 2023 has been almost feels like a former shell of itself. Just it's really gone downhill, unfortunately. You can't keep making great product constantly, though. Like, it's bound to happen creatively. But going back to these movies, though, and the early MCU is really fun because everything was on track to lead up to something, which is Thanos. And fuck, like, I forgot that, like, this movie really kind of sets that in motion too. And for Captain, with the post-credit scene leading up to Ultron. So I thought that was badass. But yeah, so we're here to talk about Winter Soldier. And Eric, when Winter Soldier first came out, were you with the trailers and stuff, knowing how, like, some of the comics go with, like, Bucky's reintroduction as Winter Soldier, do you remember how you felt about this movie, like, when it first came out as opposed to today, or is it still pretty much the same?
I think when we first saw the trailer and stuff, I was pretty excited. I think at that point, after Avengers, it was cool to get Captain America 2, basically, or well, it was. And I think we were excited for Winter Soldier and that whole aspect, but I don't think at that point I knew, kind of, obviously we hadn't seen it yet, so I didn't know exactly what we were going to get. Rewatching it last night, after, you know, I mean, obviously we've watched it a couple times, but rewatching it last night was a lot of fun. The damn thing still holds up. I mean, you know, it's kind of crazy how well this movie actually was done. And there's not without its faults and little things, but for what it is, it's top tier Marvel, like I told you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's almost like it's not even a Marvel movie. It's a little different. You know what I mean? I mean, the Russos have gone off and said that it was like they didn't even think about it like that. It was like an espionage spy movie, which it really kind of is. And I enjoyed the hell out of it, honestly, last night. I thought I was going to only watch like maybe half and try to finish it this morning, but I just plowed through it because I wanted to, you know. I didn't fall asleep. I was still like in bed laying there just watching it. So if that's a testament
Yeah.
to it, because you know how damn well I fall asleep all the time, brother. Shut up,
I
Mike.
was gonna say, I
Mike's over there.
fucking yeah. Mike's. I mean, don't worry, everyone's gonna see him laughing at you. Like the video is going on YouTube. Um,
Oh yeah.
um, yeah. So I was watching it last night too, and I'm pretty much in the same boat. It was really cool to like come off Avengers and see Captain get his second movie, and like obviously knowing the Winter Soldier kind of storyline, and it's really exciting to see them flesh it out in the movies. And then I think because it's like a spy espionage film, that's also what saves the villain part that you kind of were talking about in text, but we'll get into that eventually. But yeah, I think like this movie still holds up to this day, even with like current like social climate and just like technology and all that and the internet. It's really cool how a movie made so well back then still kind of holds up in terms of what's going on today with like what people want to do with technology, like AI and all that. So it's pretty cool to uh to watch it again, and I think for me the reason why I like Cap's like my favorite hero and like the movies are my favorites is I just love the respect everyone has for Cap because like he's earned it, like he doesn't like he's humble and he's not a piece of shit. um he's got a lot of humility, so I think it's like always cool how everyone's like willing to do, just like Sam's like literally just like ready to jump into hell for him with him because of the respect he has for him that he's earned. And I don't know, I really like that kind of stuff because it literally happens all the way to Endgame. Like it literally doesn't stop even after Cap's gone, in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. So it's pretty nuts to see like to go back and watch something after seeing like current MCU and some of the films and stuff. But Mike, you're moving around there. I don't know if you're ready to talk yet or not. But I was gonna ask you, okay, yeah, so I wanted to ask you how you felt about like coming off Avengers back in the day and watching Winter Soldier and then watching it again this week. Like, does it still hold up for you or even more so now?
I think even more so because I again, like I thought I would have to break it up in pieces, kind of like how Eric was talking about, but I went right through it and it still holds up. And after, I don't wish I could remember, like I don't remember how I felt. I don't remember the trailers, but it was the Russo brothers' first crack at the Marvel stuff, right? Yeah. So it's rewatching it and then kind of going through and then seeing how this movie kind of had the ripple effect on everything that's happened the rest of the way. Like from the Winter Soldier character to Shield and to everything. And yeah, it held up for me. I don't think there's nothing for me to really say. I want to shit on it. I want to shit on Marvel as much as I can because Eric, is such a fanboy of Marvel. But uh, I can't on this one. And this is still top 5 of all time for me for Marvel. But yeah, it's Robert Redford's character was great. I thought, I can nitpick at a few things, kind of like, but it'd be nitpicking. And I don't think, yeah, man, it's just, yeah. Wait, like now that I look at it, everything on the effect it has on Marvel, it's pretty cool. It was good, still holds up.
Yeah, I think like the ripple effect part is a good thing to point out because yeah, like Natasha basically inadvertently sets up Civil War. The Shield and Hydra stuff continues throughout all the way to Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then you have obviously the twins at the end, which sets up Age of Ultron, which continues to lead into Thanos and all that, and the Infinity Stones, and just literally really goes down all these lanes, and they still are connected till this day, or still have, like you said, even still till this day have a effect on the series. So yeah, it is pretty badass that they managed to do all that. but also like Eric said, which is what their goal was too, is to not even feel like a Marvel film. They still did all that. So it's pretty crazy when you think about it on the surface. But Eric, is there like a moment in the movie that like still stands out to you that you still really appreciate or might have became your favorite watching it last night?
I mean, it's got to be the elevator scene, right?
Yeah, it's probably the elevator scene.
I
I mean,
mean,
you really can't
because the
really go
funny thing
wrong.
was, is I hadn't even thought about it while I was watching it, and then he talks to Alexander Pierce and he walks away, and then goes down one floor and some guys show up, goes down another floor, here's Rumlow, goes down another floor, here's some more guys, then goes down and there's the other guy. So when it started going, I wasn't ready for it. So to watch it again and then hit, and then I was like, oh, dude. And he's just like moving, kind of shifting in between people, getting himself ready to go. And then the one line is just like, if you guys want to get off, now's your chance. And he just beats the shit. Now, they start to get the better of him, but of course they don't. It's Cap. And so yeah, I mean that's probably the most pivotal scene or coolest and best scene in the movie. I'm trying to think. I mean, I believe it was right after that too, when they're doing the car chase and he finally fights Winter Soldier. That's a really good scene too, like just that whole thing.
Oh, that's like one that they showcased a lot and like behind the scenes because Chris Evans actually did like that fight scene, even when the stuntman's got the knife and all that.
Mm.
Like he actually performed that. So yeah, that's always like those are like the two biggest scenes that they always kind of showcase, or it's the Falcon's first flight, but basically when he gets Stillwell off from falling.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like some of the fight scenes in the helicarriers were cool with Falcon, and how he utilized the missiles to blow up um the circular part so he can put the chip in to make it want to shoot the other helicarrier. But yeah, I don't think anything can probably compare to the elevator scene or that, like you said, the car chase scene. Um, I thought like him stealthily taking out the pirates on the ship at the beginning was cool. Because that is like called his stealth suit. So to see him just be not that it makes him quiet, but for him to be that quiet makes it more interesting and fun. Uh, but yeah, Mike, is there a scene that's either different or the same that like really stands out to you rewatching this film again?
That was the one thing because I remember that part because I remember it was in theaters, and when Fury confronted Pierce about what was going on, and then that next scene you see him in the car, and then you see him like all of a sudden he's like trying to. So I was kind of disappointed at that because like okay, well I guess now Pierce is shitty because and so that's kind of but even after that, like, and that segues into my favorite part was the chasing and the dude, and I don't know what tool he was using to escape, but how he just made a hole in the earth to jump out, to get away. But that's my favorite scene. That was my favorite scene. Even the opening scene when he was with this stealth mode suit. That was the only thing I remember when I I thought at the time was like, okay, well now I guess Pierce is the bad guy and we'll see Winter Soldier. I kind of wish they didn't make it as obvious, um, but then again, I was like, then that scene happened, and I was like, okay, I'm back in, and it was pretty cool. So that scene, maybe,
Did you say the
yeah,
Sam
no,
Jackson scene?
yeah, Sam
Yeah, so
Jackson
he
with
Yeah,
the
yeah, I didn't think about that one, but that one's pretty cool.
yeah, I'd say that's also a really good chase scene. And then you also have shortly after that when Cap chases him through the apartments and he throws his shield and Bucky just grabs it and just stares at him, and like the way they cut to him grabbing it
Yeah.
is pretty sick. But yeah, no, we definitely got to give Sam Jackson some credit. That was badass too when he pulls out the fucking like the minigun, little
Like
minigun in
lightsaber.
his car. Well, not the well, yeah, the lightsaber too,
Oh
but
yeah, the
I meant
minigun.
the
I'm
gun.
sorry, but
I
yeah,
meant the gun he used to kill everybody.
yeah. That
His
was one
purple
thing I
lightsaber.
noticed too, that and it doesn't. I don't care, but I just noticed that technically speaking, everybody's kind of killing people. Like Cap had to have killed a couple of people. Like Natasha definitely shot people. Nick Fury's killing people. So again, I don't care. I just thought it was. I never didn't. I don't know. I just didn't think about it. And then I was just watching
Well,
them. I'm like, oh shit, people are like dying.
well, yeah. If you watch like
They
the
just don't
boat scene,
show it.
there's like one guy specifically that Cap kicks, and it's like, dude, that guy's dead for sure.
Yeah, he kicks the crap out of him and he hits the side of the boat and then flies out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy just is
I was like, he's
unconscious
dead.
in the
He either
water,
broke his
drowning.
spine or yeah, he's paralyzed, he's paraplegic, and then drowned. Like,
Yeah,
there's no way he's
fucking the great
alive.
white sharks are gonna eat him. Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, so that was one thing I did notice too. Um, but yeah, I think those are the probably like the pivotal, the best scenes and stuff. Um, what I did realize, or what I didn't remember because I hadn't seen the movie in a while, and then as I was watching it, I don't know how your guys' thoughts are, but man, I thought Black Widow looked real good. You know what I'm saying?
oh dude, she's hot as fuck.
I
But
mean,
I like that she was in the film too. That's like one of my favorite things about it too, though, is like even though she wasn't gonna get her own solo film, at least she was
right at
still
that time.
extremely utilized in this one. And
Yeah.
then like I almost thought to the point where they could have even had Hawkeye in it, like just to see all of them like work together to do this stuff. But
Yeah.
because he's
Well,
not even
it's like that
retired when this
article
movie
that
takes
we,
place.
yeah, it's like that prostate article that we read, where you
Yeah,
got to jerk off 21 times a month to make sure you avoid prostate cancer.
that's correct. If
That's
you
how
didn't know
good she
that, everyone.
looked.
Oh, is that what you did during the
Yeah.
film? You just pause it?
Well, I couldn't, but maybe.
But
And
okay, brother.
I'll tell you right now, Cap was like, oh, damn, girl. When they're in the
Yeah.
mall and they're going down the escalator, and she's like, kiss me. There was a couple points where I
Sorry.
was like, dang, dude, she's coming on to him.
Oh, she wanted
I
it.
thought you were gonna say there was a couple points where you whipped it out, dude.
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
She just looked
Yeah.
good. I didn't see enough.
No,
I mean,
newsflash. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty hot. She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But no, I loved how she was utilized in the film. Sam. Fury's badass, which is why I'm like so excited for Secret Invasion because it just kind of looks like a Winter Soldier type show, or it just feels like it has like that espionage because literally the scrolls are pretending to be people they're not. So,
Yeah.
uh, Mike, when you think about the current MCU, because now we can do this, thank God, Phase 4 is over. When you think about the current MCU and then going back and watching a film like this and kind of knowing how they were planning on moving forward, like how does it make you feel like about the current films as opposed to the older ones?
It just this one. Well, I think it just felt grounded. Like I've not. I've done my best. That's putting it nicely. Like to try and keep up with what's been going on, and um, and they gotta interweb all these stories and all these characters, and they're on a schedule, and I get it, and especially nowadays where you know, and I tell this to Eric all the time, Marvel seems more and more WOKE, all caps, now more than ever. And to each his own, personally, it is what it is. But this one felt more grounded. That's why this one sticks out to me the most. It's not my favorite Marvel movie of all time. It's still Iron Man. I think it always will be Iron Man, but it's definitely top 5. I don't think I don't think it's going to be pretty hard for them. That's hopefully Secret Invasion does do that. No, I'll definitely if that's the case with this whole theories in outer space and you know and the storyline of that. But I'll this one felt special because it introduced a few key characters. They had a nod to Pulp Fiction for Sam Jackson at the end on the. I thought that was pretty cool. I forgot all about that. But uh, you know, but they're expanding. It just this one felt different because it was just grounded. It cared about the characters and they let off some unexpected emotion during the course of the movie, which is pretty cool, a little different. And yeah, I mean, but Marvel is gonna do what they're gonna do now, so they're just gonna appease the fans as best they can while staying socially accepted in this climate. And that's what it is.
It is true though. We can talk about it because it's a free space to do so. Yeah, I think Marvel going full woke and focusing on agendas and shit in their storytelling is just awful. And it's not so much like like people had a people problem with America Chavez for being lesbian, but like her character just is in the comics, so it's like that's not an issue. But it is when I think of like Ant-Man most recently, like Catherine Newton's Cassie Lang was just like shitting on her own dad and how he's not good enough at anything, even though he fucking like helped save the world twice. And it's just like just utter bullshit how they just focus on like agendas. And when this movie, for instance, has two a couple of its main cast are, minorities, if you will, Samuel Jackson and Anthony Mackie, but then you also have a lead female, Scarlett Johansson. It's like, you could still have these incredible characters and incredible actors without having to force an agenda on the viewer, the audience, and I think that's always been something that's kind of bothered me about modern media or cinema. It's not just Marvel, but cinema in the last like 5 to 10 years is if you just write an amazing original character or a good story and focus on telling that good story and not focusing on what an agenda could be, people would probably accept a lot of things out there that are different than what they grew up with, in current times. It's just I don't know why they keep fucking this up. Like it's pretty simple, man. It's really not that hard. I feel like a lot of people would be very accepting if it's just a good original story or just a character done right. I mean, people aren't asking for much here. Uh, but Hollywood just can't figure that out. They can't pull their head out of their asses. They have to appease someone out there, and I don't know who it is because right now, uh, movies that have these agendas aren't doing good. They're doing bad. But then you see, for instance, I know we're kind of going off track here a little bit, but then you see a movie that just wants to be a good movie for what it is with the source material, like the Super Mario Brothers movie. It's expected to hit $1 billion next week. It's been less than a month since it's been out, and it's just a good movie with a great cast of, obviously it's animated, but it's still a great cast of characters. You have all sorts of characters from every walks of life, and it's just telling those character stories, and that's all they did, man. And everyone loves it. Like it's really not that hard, and I just don't understand it. But Eric, as opposed to like current Marvel, and going back and watching this one, seeing so going from phase 2 to phase 4, how does it make you feel about like the current climate of Marvel as opposed to where we were at? Granted, they obviously had more of a focus leading up to the Infinity Wars.
Yeah, I mean, watching this and then thinking about what's coming or has come in the last year or so, year and a half, um, it's a little tough because you almost wonder why this seems to be so good. I don't know if it's the quote unquote woke thing that you guys are discussing 100%. I don't know what Cassie's issue with her dad not being around is woke, but okay. I mean, the fact that it was brought up, maybe, I guess.
I was brought up when she's talking about fighting protests and stuff and fighting for people's rights, and he's like, "Dude, you literally fought to save the fucking universe. Like, suck a dick."
Yeah, but she wasn't. He wasn't
Eric,
around for her. He wasn't
if we
around
pull up
for
the
her.
lines, you'll
He
see it.
wasn't
Like,
around for his daughter, dude.
it wasn't.
That's
She
what
wasn't
she's
even complaining
saying.
about that. But she didn't even say that.
That's what
She
she's
literally
talking
didn't say you
about.
weren't there
You're
for.
out there
You're so
saving the
fucking
world.
stupid. You can't
She
be a
was making a
devil's
point.
advocate.
You save the world. I'm saving the world. I'm gonna protest, whatever.
Yeah, and
Anyways,
she's
I don't
doing a
know.
whole lot.
Whatever. Anyway, I'm just honestly, I'm surprised that the stories now are not. I don't know if it's like the lack of direction. I don't know if they're just not that good. But watching Winter Soldier, I mean, there's not even like the story's fine, it's good, but it's not like they didn't rewrite anything. You know what I mean? It's an espionage movie. They check a couple boxes off. They add a couple characters. But it's still freaking awesome. But I don't understand why they're like maybe they don't have the same writers or I don't know. They just seem to have lost focus because this one's they I mean, think about how many things are in Winter Soldier that, technically speaking, are pushed and introduced and are adding to the following story. You've got a end credit scene that's got two characters for like 10 seconds. You got Bucky. Maybe a couple name drops. I think the guy
I
when
did say
Maxim
Stephen Strange.
right, okay. And what else? I mean, that's
We talk about Bruce Banner. We talk
yeah,
about
but I mean
Iron
he's
Man
already
three
I
or
mean
four
he's already a part
times.
of it. I'm saying like I feel like the new stuff is really trying to push a lot of new characters and new
Agendas.
Easter eggs and what?
Nothing.
Agendas, is that what you said? You're so
Yeah.
stupid.
It's just the truth though, man.
Okay.
Because you're saying that like it's just a spy film that does have a couple connections that do lead to the future films, but that goes to my point though. It's like they just looked at the source material, adapted it to the current, timeline and with the MCU, because obviously some things have to be different and it's not going to be a one-to-one adaptation. But they still did it for the most part with the current characters that they had and the stories that they already had told previously and just moved it forward. Like not not they didn't go above their own heads. And I just feel like that's all they're trying to do with these new films. Like I just feel like Ant-Man's trying to do too much. Like they wasn't even it just I don't know. It seems like they're trying to move the needle too far and
Well, that's what I'm saying.
it's just
I'm not talking about socially. I'm not even talking about social the agendas and bullshit you're talking about. I'm just saying the story of the MCU moving forward, these last new movies, I don't count the shows because they're, whatever, 8 to 10 episodes. I'm not talking about those. I'm just talking about the movies. They're just adding too much into them and not giving the story enough. They're just trying to push all this other stuff, add here. Like I said, the Ant-Man thing, Bill Murray's character could have been out the window. That was the whole point. You brought up the when they go to the rebels or whatever, freedom fighters,
yeah.
they wasted time on that. Let's start condensing this stuff down. I mean, you had about 10 characters in Winter Soldier total. And like I said, it's very focused is where I'm going. And a couple little things sprinkled here and there. And I think that's what made it a better movie. So I just wish that for the new stuff, that's what they would continue to do. And maybe that's because they don't know where they're going to go. I mean, yeah, they have Kang, but I don't know. I'm not
Maybe the
sure
Russo
why.
brothers are just that much better than everyone else because they kept the movie focused and moved forward, but
Yeah,
also still
maybe.
gave everyone backstories. Everyone still had backstories of Nick Fury, Captain Roger, Steven Rogers, fucking Sam Wilson's character. Like all of them got more details about their past and still told a storyline and moved it forward,
Yeah.
which they can't barely do these days.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that is it because they did a lot of their background is larger scale movies, more cast, I mean. So like Community, that was where they kind of got started, I think, and or not started, but they had a kind of a breakthrough type thing, which
Yeah.
has a couple different group of characters and stuff. So maybe that's just why they're better at it. Think about all their other movies that they've done. Cherry was good. Community, Happy Endings. I don't know what that is, but oh, well, maybe they didn't have that much. But yeah, maybe they're just much better at it. I mean, that's why they were able to take on Infinity War and Endgame. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
elevating the character because I wasn't a big fan of Captain America: First Adventure, and I know that doesn't sit well with a lot of people, but you know, yeah, I know. Sorry, man, but like it's just, I mean, it was very like of all, it was the most grounded movie like since I don't know
Iron
if I
Man.
can remember, but like yeah, I mean, since Iron Man, pretty much like I what I don't because I wanted to kind of ask you guys too because the Hydra stuff I understand and it's in comic lore and I get it and but if Hydra and if Steve was frozen 70 years ago and they brought him out, they had him thawed out, and if they knew he was going to be a threat, why defrost him? With it, I mean, they obviously used him for a variety of reasons that was kind of under the, you know what I mean? Like why? I mean, but I get it because they, he's the first Avenger, he's super soldier, and they didn't know if it like Hydra was planning on doing all this shit, and and they keep around Steve for I want to know what you guys felt about that.
Well, I think Black Widow kind of said some, or somebody, I feel like now that you're bringing that up, somebody actually said something about that in the movie where it's like when they find out that Shield is technically Hydra, and they're talking about like, well, whose side are you on, or what, But I think Black Widow is the one that says something towards the effect of, well, we've been doing, or maybe it's Alexander Pierce, basically, well, you've been doing what we wanted you to do. The missions you've been on is what we've been wanting you to do. So since he's there, they've been using him to do specific things. But to your point, maybe that's what it is. Like they're kind of playing puppeteer, if you will. But you do make a good point. Like if Shield is Hydra, why did they thaw his ass out? Like why didn't
Well, in
they
the
just keep
comics, he's actually a sleeper agent too, though, that they eventually activate as well, and he does
uh,
become a Hydra Captain America.
Hmm.
But Natasha also does say that she thought she knew who lies she was telling, but now she doesn't know. So, like that's another line that she has.
yeah,
Um, but that's kind of the thing about the movie, though, is like Mike said that you knew Alexander Pierce was the villain, but at the same time, you kind of didn't because of how well they were telling the story of how you can't trust anyone. Throughout the entire movie, you don't really know who they could trust until it concludes, until they start going to the helicarriers. And that was kind of like something I was pretty impressed with too, though, is the way they were delivering the movie. It always kind of made you wonder who they could not trust next. First viewing, of course, obviously we know what happens. Um, but I think the thing that goes with why do they defrost Captain America is even at the post credit scene when you have the guy who has the twins, he's saying, "Oh, just lead them to other Hydra locations, so that way they don't have to worry about ours." Like I don't know, it seems like they're just a shitty organization who's willing to betray each other at any moment. But you also had Nick Fury and his shield, the one that was defrosting Captain America. It wasn't the whole organization of Shield that's with Hydra. I mean, we even see them having a quick civil war in that moment through
true.
the operating. So I don't think it was like the Shield isn't all um
Hydra.
compromised. It's just only parts of it. And it was the parts that couldn't be controlled because it was Nick Fury who was the one that was leading it. I think it's actually just that simple. But even the World Council wasn't even a part of Hydra. They all
Mm.
died. So Alexander Pierce was literally on his own agenda with that part of Hydra. So
Yeah,
you're talking
Mike,
about a
take
fraction.
it.
So
Eat
you're
that.
talking
Well,
about a
well, all right. What they had a guy, they had Larry Sanders. He was a senator. He was like a high up senator. He was like whispering Hail Hydra and that. Well, I forget his name, but like, you're right. No, that makes sense. It does make sense. Like, but it's fucking
I get what
Captain
you're
America.
saying, but they did kind of cover their asses because so much of Nick Fury's team had nothing to do with Hydra. And I think that's why they kind of can get away with that. And it's not too much of a plot hole. But it's on the it's on the cusp of being a plot hole though. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're right there. It's just I think because of all of Nick Fury's people still being good people, none of them were betrayed him, then or besides Rumlow, I guess, who's Crossbones. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for the dumbest 30 seconds and dies. Uh, yeah. So it's a good argument, but I think that they did enough to cover their asses with that one. But it's pretty damn close from being a problem.
I want to ask you
Um,
guys, how'd you feel about Falcon and his introduction and um, all that for this movie in particular?
I thought it was extremely well done and utilized. It was very simple and didn't have to be complex. It just made sense and it just worked with like Cap's history and having lost his best friend and Sam losing his best friend literally in combat as well. But Sam also being such um, a pivotal member to join at this point because of how he can be utilized with his flight and his ability to extract, which is literally what he was doing. So I thought it felt great, and I think Anthony Mackie's a fantastic Sam Wilson. And sad to say, even after he becomes Cap in the new show, still just kind of wish he was the Falcon. So I thought he was just a really, really well done Falcon, and I loved his growth throughout the movies.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, yeah, I just feel like they just did a really good job with that character, man. Um, but yeah, I was trying to think of like anything I dislike, but I can't really think of anything because I thought him like still exploring his own history after being frozen and talking to Peggy, who's got dementia. Um, I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. I honestly, I was trying to think of a critique, and Mike almost had me there for a second, but I still can't think of anything really that I don't like about the film.
Yeah.
Um,
The third act, I think the third act was it could have been a little shorter, but no, I mean, again, like I said in the beginning, like I'd be nitpicking. I mean, it's really, I mean, he always seems to be fighting his last, because like I remember in the first movie he was like on a ship fighting Red Skull, and now he's on a ship fighting Winter Soldier. Like he's always fighting on that like that catwalk, you know.
yeah,
Um,
I actually do
the
agree with you, Mike. Though. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no,
I
no,
won't
no, no.
forget.
I was done. Go ahead.
No, I actually agree with you though that like the third act does kind of slow the movie down a bit. Like the first two, I think are just so much better. Uh, because as Eric was saying too, the end of the second act is him finally fighting Bucky on the streets, and like that was a fucking bad. And then we had the elevator scene as well in that second act. So I do agree 100% that like the third act is like it's so good, but it's not like the first two at all. Like the first two are just so much better. But,
Yeah, I, I mean, I don't know. I was really racking my brain, and it's not like I was watching the movie looking for shit to pick out.
yeah,
Now I'm like, but you know, I thought even Falcon for a role character, he's a really good role character that got a good introduction. Like the people nowadays that are role characters for Marvel would wish they got the service that Mackie got, back then. So,
yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah, and it's cool too though, is like Falcon is such a great, partner to Captain America in the comics, and they kind of just immediately made you feel that way only moments after they talk. So it's pretty sweet. Um, yeah, I can't really think of anything else to really say. I mean, the post credit scene was great.
Well,
The
what
fight
about
scenes are
what was your guys' take on like Bucky Barnes and Winter Soldier and kind of
oh yeah.
utilizing him? I mean, the goth version of him versus the normal version of him.
And definitely like the short haired normal version of him better. But I think I think coming off of like first Avenger and how much they fleshed out Bucky in that film and them being best friends, coming into Winter Soldier and them kind of like refreshing you a little bit with some of the museum and then the one
Uh,
flashback scene where he says like I'll be to the end of the line or I'll be there for
and
the end of
yeah,
the line with you.
yeah, it had to
So
make
like
more sense of having him look completely different, being the same character but completely different mentally and then almost physically too, to make it work, right?
yeah, and I think it's fantastic. Like Sebastian Stan's a good Bucky for sure. Um but I think it was cool how well done he was because you could I mean Chris Evans just did such a good job of making Cap look so fucked up over it, like seeing his best friend again that he thought was dead the whole time, who was basically like a brother to him. So uh yeah, I think they did great. And I like that he didn't just go back to being Bucky, even at the end of the film, he just pulls him out of the water and walks away. Like that's it.
Yeah, it's not like he beat his ass and beat him up mentally, put him back on track. He still doesn't know what the fuck's going on at the end of the movie. Doesn't know who he is, what he's been doing, blah blah blah. So yeah, I think that was a good choice too.
Yeah, I think that was a bold choice because this movie literally just like we talked about sets up the rest of the MCU to some degree, but for sure like Civil War definitely gets put in place with this movie, and that's why it's kind of cool to see where Bucky's at in that one, following his time in this movie. So, yeah, no, I thought the Winter Soldier was great. He's menacing as fuck. Like all of his fight scenes were great. Like he never felt like he wasn't as powerful as he should be. So I thought they did a good job of that.
Yeah, I thought the back and forth fighting between him and Cap um, was good. I mean, obviously, I think maybe if you don't know what we know, maybe some of the people, the audience watching may think, oh, well, how is he he is as strong as Cap, like when they're fighting on the rooftop for the first time, and he's got the instincts, and obviously he's got the metal arm, but when he throws the shield back, Cap's like gets pushed back a little bit when he catches it, and so
Yeah.
then they take that, they show the Zola part, they go back in time a little bit, they show that whole thing, and kind of I thought that whole story was perfectly done to at least give him the backstory, a little bit of a backstory. The flashbacking from the museum to just his mental flashbacks as Cap, where they're on the stairs and I think his mom died and they're talking about, that just shows kind of, he's like, oh, I'll sleep on the floor, like it's cool, like, and Cap's like, well, I don't need anything right now. And he's like, no, I'll be here. So I mean, it just shows they're given enough storyline for people who don't know the comics maybe or whatever. And that was pretty much perfectly done as well too.
Yeah, they're definitely making you feel for the character, who's not the villain, but technically, well, yeah, he's still a villain. But they also make you sympathize for him as well. Um, so yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Then here's, I forgot about this, but uh, I don't know how else they could have done it better or introduced or but the Nazi scientist computer sequence.
Yeah, Zola.
I Zola, yes. Some other way. Some other way.
Oh, you didn't like it. I liked it a lot.
You didn't like how they introduced Zola?
No, I thought I was trying to think of any other way that could relate to both characters being there and how it would be better, but I did not. I don't know about Zola being in a outdated. I don't know how, like, I don't know. That kind of took me out of it a little bit. I remember that, but again, nitpicking.
Yeah,
I actually like the way they did that. But the other thing about Winter Soldier too, before we get away from his character, is I like how every time Bucky throughout the series, and then obviously in this film when they're fighting on the street, every time he holds the shield, it just looks badass because he's also Captain America in the comics. So it's like always cool when Bucky is holding the shield too in a fight. But yeah, uh, yeah, I thought Zola's introduction was fine. I didn't mind the whole technology because it's like, yeah, they did that back then, and who's left to? He's not even supposed to be around because he's Hydra, so no one would like update his processors and computers and shit because he's not even supposed to be activated. But I get it. Yeah, I get it. It's just something you didn't like. It's fine.
Fuck you, Eric. There's my
Yeah,
chair. There's my cherry on top. Yeah.
there it is.
no, I was just waiting for you to say anything else. I don't know. I'm just confused by what you didn't like. Like, what was the part of it that you just didn't like? That he was in a computer? That he was in an old computer? Was he supposed to be in a Macintosh?
Yeah, like, do you want him to be in a
I'm just
MacBook or
no.
something, or
I'm
like an
seriously asking, like,
iPhone?
why didn't you like it? What was it that you didn't like about that whole sequence?
Because I mean, maybe not during first viewing. But I just to uncover that type of secret, like that type of huge, like that's a big fucking deal. Like you're like like an agency that pretty much what Natasha said to Rogers was like, oh, how does it feel that you've been living a lie the last 70 years? Like, but then to have that, like, and again, nitpicking, but like to have such a huge secret. And I got like a guy doing a shitty German accent that says he's Swedish, or no, he's from Switzerland,
Algerian,
and like Algeria, whatever. And like, a character that was, I guess, relevant. He had a lot of screen time in the first one. I thought something more like that's deep cutting, that kind of like, oh fuck, like that. When you guys saw, because I know a lot of people, especially the hardcore fan, like when you guys saw fucking Zola's face pop up under there and doing that shitty accent, you guys were like, and then when he revealed all the secrets, they're like, oh, like I mean, I like that's like a gasp moment. That's like, oh shit, like shit's now, like you can't trust anybody. They're gonna fucking, like, for me, like I don't know how they could have done that better. But again, like I don't know how then that part of the plot, again, I'm not coming with any solutions, but I was
Wait,
like,
so
for
is it
such
the
a
fact that
huge,
he's a computer, or the fact that his brain was in a computer?
both. But now the fact that you keep, now that it's all coming back to me, is more I hate it. It's like, I don't know, like it's just not. it's just something that, like, all right, like we're following, like, all right, they went to the Apple store and they found this location in Jersey, and then Cap's having flashbacks and they find this bunker with a bunch of outdated shit in there, and they walk in and then Natasha types in yes, initiate system, and then this fucking dude pops up that's like, I don't know. I don't I thought it could like I didn't want to bring this up because I wish I would have like, okay, what if this happened?
I
But
mean, I'll give you that. I guess it could have been better than her just typing in yes, and then I just don't know what else they
uncover
could. I don't know what else
I
they
don't
could
know
have
either.
done.
Like uncovering the truth, like uncovering that
Like maybe what they should
type
have
of
done was there should have been like a hologram, some like updated technology where he actually has his body and he's talking instead of a computer screen and just is like zeros and ones
well,
eyes. And then they should have been able to go
yeah,
through the records like paperwork because it's an old
yeah.
facility. Is that what you're saying? Something?
Just so you
Something that
know, that's what he looks
yeah.
like in the comics. So they were just trying to copy that part, just the
Well,
screen
yeah.
part.
All right, well,
Just
okay. But well, the first thing that came when you were saying that, Eric, was first that like they have the Tesseract, like something with the Tesseract maybe that like could, but I don't know. Like that's a big deal because like shield to shield and I don't know.
They
To
should have done the hologram thing like I'm saying. The equipment, the stuff should have been updated. It shouldn't have been like the whatever it was 1960s or 70s, 80s computers and all that stuff. They should have figured out a way and then actually have him look like himself from like the first Avenger. Then he gets all pissed off and he tries to fight him, but he just realizes it's a hologram. That's how good of the technology it is. Then at least it brings it up and it makes more sense to us now being in the 2010s, right? Of
or
technology
maybe
part. So then
yeah,
that may be a little bit better. And then I don't know.
or maybe there's more like failed super soldier type dudes in there, and
Maybe
like
there you go. Or they chopped
Cap's
off his head.
interrogating them.
Maybe they chopped off his head to keep his brain. They put him in a jar of water, and he's just got
Yeah,
like this body, so his head's just bobbling around, and then maybe something like that.
something. I don't.
so
You know,
Futurama.
but you,
What'd you say?
you know,
So Futurama.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Well, no, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I guess it could have been better, but I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. There's a couple
I
ways
mean,
they could have gone, but I don't know how they would have made it better.
you know what we're saying though, Ryan. Like that's like a huge turn of events. Like I don't know. I just wish it was not something that was kind of a green screen dude that that was like talking to both of them, and Natasha's like, it's a recording. It's like, no, it's not a recording. And I don't know. Nitpicking. Nitpicking.
Yeah. I
So,
mean,
okay, but we're
yeah.
past that. I got to ask something. Did you guys like Alexander Pierce?
Yeah.
You
I
did?
mean,
Because
he
I
was
didn't.
annoying. I was really happy when he died.
So was
It's
I.
fucking Robert Redford, dude. It's Redford. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
but
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
I
No,
that
I thought he was fine. He was supposed to be a douchebag, and he played a douchebag. He did great.
Okay.
Mike
he's
Mike really loves Robert Redford.
Yeah, I guess.
well, okay. All right. Well, hold on. Put some respect on the man's name, first of all. I know I like if it's he played the perfect type of like he's like tier one shield dude that has clearance for everything. He's in charge of this project that is supposed to be you know security purposes and predict the future and take out all these bad people. But like it was like Redford's and he's shaking Fury's hand like, hey, all right, I'll help you. Just make sure Tony flies over my girl's birthday party, and that was. The only thing I just didn't like was Fury finds out, confronts him, and the next scene's like, okay, well, he sends like a death squad to go kill him for, that was the only thing. But yeah,
I thought
why don't you?
that scene was cringy. Oh yeah, we'll do it. Just send Captain or Iron Man over and make sure he stays there to mingle. Like, I was like, that's stupid.
He didn't say all that shit. Don't try to
Yes, he
add extra,
did.
dude.
Yes,
Oh,
he
he
did.
didn't, dude. All
He
Ryan
right,
said
all
make
right,
sure
fine.
that Iron Man flies by, but actually
doesn't just
stays
do
to
a
mingle this
flyover.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut up,
I mean,
Mike.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was cringy, but he definitely says it.
I mean, it was kind of
Not as
stupid.
cringy as fucking Zola. Fucking talking through. He sounds like he had that lung cancer. Well, he's talking he had too many cigarettes in his life. Through that speaker
Listen here, you
box.
son of a bitch. That scene was not that bad. You fuck.
Yeah, that
It
wasn't that. I
wasn't. It's
mean,
just the weight of the plot. Like we're on. Where this is a huge. Like I think we just can't. Eric just had a better idea with the
The
guy with the
moment
brain.
still felt huge though. Like even when that moment originally happened with just the computer screen as you're describing, as it what it is, it still felt huge when it happened. And then the fucking ballistic missile gets shot at them. Like, I don't know, it still felt pretty impactful. I don't nothing took away from that besides your fucking thought
Mm,
process.
it didn't. And also, does Rogers know how to use a cell phone? And he can
No,
fucking
because
text
you never
Tony
see
like,
him use one.
hey, Tony Stark. Like these everyone. I can't trust anyone. But you're the person I saved New York City with. Like, can you come and help me with this shield problem?
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
that's something that the MCU just is always gonna have a problem with now moving forward. Even with like the current films, or yeah, they kind of. I mean, I don't know really how you get out of that. It's not like the actors can just be in everything because you have to pay them for it.
Sure,
But yeah,
sure,
like
yes,
why
yes.
isn't Iron Man there? Then you can be like, oh, well, they mentioned Stephen Strange. Why didn't just introduce him here too to help save? Yeah, I don't know. You can't do it. I don't know. That's a
Mm,
nitpick rabbit hole not worth going down because there's nothing you can really do about that. But yeah, they
yeah,
mentioned Tony Stark like fucking 4 or 5 times. You'd think he'd show up
right,
to also
yeah,
just
yeah,
destroy these helicarriers at
right,
the end. He could just unit beam one of them to the fucking ground. Like,
yeah, yeah.
but
Dude, it would have been
yeah,
better if Zola came up in that scene, and then Howard Stark had his little fucking, and he came in like, "Hey, man, not cool."
or at the very least, why wasn't War Machine showing up since he's actually in the military still and still a part of like security and all that? So, you know, there you
Mm.
go.
I think they should have called him Zoloft
Fuck.
instead of Zola. Zola.
I'm really glad Eric's here. Really contributing a
The
lot to
dad
that one.
the perfect dad joke right there.
Yeah, fucking
It's a
guy.
dad joke, dude.
I thought it would have been funny. Like if
Yeah.
Captain and he
Yeah.
pops up, he's like, "Is that Zoloft?" And he's like pissed off, like, "Oh no, mother, it's Zola." Like that would have been
He
funny.
said, that's pretty funny actually. Is that Zoloft? God.
Because he's trying to learn.
Um,
That would have been funny, dude. He doesn't remember 70 years removed. Now he's in the now times, and he's like trying to go through. He's watching
now it's
TV. He's got downtime. There's commercials for Zoloft between, on whatever while he's watching TV to try to catch up. And then the first thing that comes out of his mind is like, "Oh, is that Zoloft?" Zoloft is a ED pill, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
Sure, we'll
don't
go with
fucking
that.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
No, it is,
we'll go with
right?
that, dude. I don't think so, dude.
Well, let me
I
check.
don't think so.
And then
Yeah,
Natasha's
it's
like,
worth.
"Don't
Yeah, that's
worry,
worth a
Cap.
Google.
You don't need Zoloft."
Yeah.
Man, we're diving into the porn parody of Winter Soldier. Apparently,
Hmm. I'm pretty sure
That's
we
definitely
just
not what it's for.
is it not?
It's for
it's first like
depression. It's for depression
Ooh.
and social anxiety disorder.
there you go. There you go.
Anyways, okay, let's get back to it. Oh shit.
Um, I mean, I don't really know what else there is to say, man. I feel like we covered pretty much everything. I mean, I
Well,
don't know
let's
how
go ahead. Sorry.
but with the elevator scene, I don't know how Rumlo's so easily able to get back up after being shoved in a fucking ceiling. But he's trucking along just fine. I mean, I feel like if Cap threw me into a ceiling, I wouldn't be getting back up right away to go hunt him down at a fucking mall. So there's a
Yeah,
nitpick for you. Eric, I mean, I was waiting for you to say something, and you
I was saying.
fucking guy.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. No, I just don't really know what else to say, man. I just think it's like a really fucking good film. And, you know, I think it's a good film, but in terms of like favorites or like things you'd probably highlight, like we definitely talked about all the highlights. I mean, I don't know what else you could really say. I mean, it's cool they introduced Sharon Carter, but they don't really say it's her last name until Civil War or, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, Maria Hill's cool, but she's kind of like I don't know. She's kind of like a gag character, I guess. I don't know. She kind of just shows up the most
She
perfect
she
times
she made a
possible.
she made a glory hole too in the bottom of that car when they
Fu-
got out of
Man, you
there.
really like those fucking little lightsaber, or glory
I
holes in
He
mean
here.
likes
that's a
those glory holes.
quite the device. It checks for prostate cancer too, but it's quite the device, dude. Fucking if you're making a hole in the earth, dude, and Fury just like jumps in, like with
You
the
would
collapse
think.
lung shot, dude. Yeah.
I feel like they could have
Dude,
just gave
fuck.
him the lightsabers to, make a hole into the helicarrier and just get straight to the thing and put the chip in and call it a day.
Uh, I guess Maria Hill
Fuck.
and Fury only have those devices. Those are pretty interesting. Those are pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric, you look like you want to say something.
Nope.
Nope. He
No,
said,
I don't
nope.
think there's much more to say. Like you said, I mean, the only other thing I would, where do you guys land on this one with like a 1 through 10? And is this top
Yeah,
tier?
Mm.
Is this a
I still
top
think it's a
tier
10.
Marvel? You think it's a 10?
I mean, Captain America was my favorite hero. Of course, I'm going to like it the
Okay,
most.
okay. I'm just well, take your bias aside and take it as a movie that's called Captain America: Winter Soldier. What are you going to give it? Still 10?
10.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mike.
All right, first of all, asshole, you're not the fucking host. All right, don't quit trying to hijack shit. All
Yeah.
right, that's one.
Fucking bitch.
All right,
Yeah.
Well, neither are
I
you.
think it's a
Shut up and
10.
answer the
I,
question.
I do think it's a
two,
10 though, because
two.
like I said,
Yeah, no, no. Sorry, Ryan. If Ryan wants it to be a 10, it's a 10, dude.
No, I'm
What are you
asking
talking
you.
about?
What do you think?
Uh, you want a number? I 8.5.
8.5. That's where
8.5.
I'd go to.
8.5.
That's where I'd go to. It's not a perfect movie.
Oh well, I mean, no. I mean, but
well,
again,
what makes
like,
you drop it a point and a half less than a perfect score?
I
It can't
didn't
be the
care for
fucking
Alexander
Zoloft scene.
Pierce. I didn't care for Alexander Pierce that much as a character. The When we got to the end, the stupid aircraft carriers. I mean, whatever. It's just like they're going to send these things up. They cost a gajillion dollars. They're going to kill people, and then at the last 3 seconds, three, two, one. Just like every movie. I'm not even going off Marvel movies. Like all of the other movies. Like, why can't we just do it at 10 seconds?
there's no suspense to that, dude.
Well, whatever. Anyways, and then he gets the card in there and the chip does blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't think it's a 10 worthy film. I'm at like 8.5.
And suck my balls.
Okay.
The third act,
The
a
third
little
act
a
is
little
slow. I
quite a
do
bit
agree with
long,
Mike 100%.
and the uncovering of
Zoloft?
Zoloft.
Hydra, Zoloft, yeah.
I mean,
Um,
when Mike broke that down, I do agree. Like, it is a big moment. It could have been done differently. I'll give him that.
he also like now that I think about it, when Red Skull, he had like, his plan was like to get helicarriers up there too, right? Didn't he want to do that too? Something like that. Other than
Uh,
the Tesseract stuff, like he wanted the Tesseract, he wanted to put that
I don't
technology in,
even
but didn't he
remember, dude.
want
I think he
to?
just wanted the technology on all his guns and weapons and stuff and
He wanted all
aircrafts.
his guys to be suited with like Tesseract weapons and armor and stuff.
And then he was going to try to build winter super soldiers again, like everybody else, I think.
Something like that.
Or Miss Kayla.
Pretty sure that was
Like
his
that.
goal.
Yeah.
Text Miss Kayla.
Come back in 2 minutes, please.
So I think that's, I mean, basically it's the same shit.
8.5 is
Yeah.
good. I think 8.5 is pretty solid. Like the only thing I put up above, I mean, shit, man. Now you got me thinking. If you want to put numbers to it, like Iron Man's like for me, Iron Man, it's Infinity, and then Civil, and then Winter Soldier. Like in no particular, well, Iron Man 1, but after that, no particular order. So like not 8.5 is like I still enjoy it. I still like it. My fucking dad, who has no idea what anything, like he watched Winter Soldier and he liked it. That's how you know like it reached out to like more, it kind of like goes past like just kids and us and like generations of like it's a grounded spy thriller. Russo's elevated a key character, the trifecta of Thor. I only wish they can do that to Thor and again Cap and Iron Man. So 8.5. Sorry,
Yeah,
Ryan.
Thor sucks. You're a piece of shit. It's a 10. No, yeah, Thor is another character that really, got wasted like a motherfucker. But yeah, the next movie coming up is Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, which I haven't seen in quite a long time, so I'm pretty excited to rewatch that because I think that's a really solid film. Um,
Well, I'm gonna probably try to
but yeah,
watch 1 and 2 in the next 2 weeks before we go see number 3.
oh yeah, yeah,
So
really
that
comes
comes
out in
out
two
in 2
weeks.
Thursdays, or well, less than 2 weeks.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for being on the show. Go watch Captain America Winter Soldier. Like I said, next up is Guardians 1. Hopefully we can do both of those before we do the Guardians 3 episode. Um or at least the Guardians 1 episode, and then we'll naturally just do Guardians 3 because we're gonna watch it and then talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eric, Mike, thank you guys for being on. And that's it. So go watch some Marvel movies. Go watch Super Mario Bros. Check out the last episode of the podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.
You know what, Ryan?
Bye.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're
Ryan,
welcome.
Ryan, I love you. And
Yes.
it's been too
I
long.
love you.
And thank you. Thank you
It-
for having me back on. So I appreciate it.
And thanks for being
oh,
a
dude,
bitch.
anytime. Hey, fuck you. Yeah, anytime, man. We'll have you back on for the Guardians one, and we'll keep this going. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.